Is this week proof that we need to get rid of ties in the NFL? What about kickers? The guys react to this week's football, including Jalen Ramsey outsmarting the Pats, the Steelers proving why they shouldn't pay Bell, and the most dangerous play in football. Salsa etiquette and more this week on Just Press Play.
Pregnant ladies and little kids better get the hell out of the way. Run it. I'm like Forrest Gump, dude. Who also got covered by Aretha Franklin in RSPCT. Find out what it means to me. I want you each to use ombudsman in a sentence next week. I got one for you. My name is Kevin, the official ombudsman. You like apples?
All right, guys, we are back. And we got LJ back finally. It seems like it's been way too long.
Yes.
But we are back full-fledged and reacting to some football. Man, just right off the cusp, it seems like the guest star from last week, Mr. Tony Green. If you went in, this podcast is brought to you by MyBookie, and as you already know. And if you went to MyBookie and put in the bet last week from Mr. Tony Green, he said bet against the Jets and bet against the Ravens, and it looked pretty good. He's looking good so far. LJ, you weren't able to be on with us, but we had a lot of opinions get thrown around last week. Is there anything that you needed to react to? Because I know we got a few messages from you in the group message.
Yeah, well, first off, you guys are like awesome. Like the happy birthday, like that made my day, and all the stuff about Hannah, like that made her day. It was really, you guys are great. I mean, the listeners didn't get to hear a lot of stuff that I got to listen to while I was editing, so thank you for that. But I've got a few things and I'll just list them off and you guys stop me if you want to hear more. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is I think Tony might actually be a pseudonym for Skip Bayless because I want to say okay. He said Mahomes was once in a generation after having one good game. Like what the hell is up with that?
Well, he had another good one.
I mean, surely he's being sarcastic, right, Kev? I mean, he only threw 6 TDs today, L. 6,
yeah, I understand that. So if you look at what the Chiefs have done for like the last 4 years, they have these amazing first 4 games every year, and then they just fall apart.
Yes.
So what we have proven is that Mahomes is a little better than Alex Smith. That's what we've proven so far.
Well, I will say last week I was buying the Chiefs, and I'm buying if I can get any more of it. I don't know how much money is left in my bank account, but I'm buying more if I can because if nothing else, their defense looks like it. I will say, get on MyBookie and just bet the over for every Chiefs game because their defense looks atrocious. But Mahomes looks like he's going to put up some points. But maybe we don't have to crown him the once in a generation quarterback. He might not be Aaron Rodgers yet.
One more little thought on that is, so what's the best ability, Dad?
Availability.
But so what's the one thing you can't teach?
Speed.
You
can't teach speed. You can't teach height.
And the Chiefs have got speed in every position. So I think, we're going to see Mahomes getting a lot of benefit from having the fastest wide receivers in the game. And yeah, I mean, it's a good team. Mahomes is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very good team.
I was thinking about it last week. And you saw that offense explode without really Travis Kelce and Kareem Hunt do much. And then you saw this week with Kelce. Andy Reid, we mentioned it last week. He might, with all his problems he has with clock management, and there's some issues that he has, but he does know offense.
Yeah.
And he's got a guy with a cannon and a bunch of toys to play around with around him. They're going to be fun to watch.
Let me add to that. You're right. He's got a lot of tools to work with in the speed department. You're right, but he can get the ball to him. He
knows how to get Tyreek Hill the ball.
It's a little early to say once in a generation, perhaps, but so far he hadn't done anything to suggest he's not. So
I'm just saying, you Cowboy fans should know about a quarterback that starts off just looking like the best quarterback to ever play, and then we'll see what happens in a couple of years. So you guys, I'm with you on the one quarterback for a season. Like pick one of the greatest of all times. Maybe I think an Aaron Rodgers is a good choice. But if I'm picking for one game, and I wrote this down before this week, by the way, give me Ryan MF and Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic, man, I am buying
because that guy. You guys said something along the lines of, well, they lost to a Buccaneers team with Ryan Fitzpatrick. No, dude, he comes in and has 4 unbelievable games every time he steps up and takes some quarterback's job, and then they end up like getting rid of the old quarterback, signing him to a big deal, and then he falls apart. Well, but if I got one game, I'm taking the man that's got every tool. And
he's looking like a once in a generation talent right now. That's magic he is.
Did y'all see him? Did y'all see him after the game? He was dressed up like Conor McGregor. He was
fly. He was pretty fly for a white guy. I'll give him that. He really was.
And now I have to. So real quick on Fitzmagic, I have decided that I will no longer shave ever again because his I don't know if y'all saw one of his touchdown celebrations, but you remember back in the day when Johnny Manziel was balling for A&M, they had their cool little celebration where they did the money thing, where they like him and his receivers would act like they're putting their hands like doing the money symbol. And Fitzmagic, and I don't know who it was, it may be an offensive lineman or tight end, someone else with the big beard. They just walked up to each other, took their helmets off, and started rubbing their beard together. And it was the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I don't know. I think I just threw up in my mouth.
Oh, it was so cool.
It doesn't sound sanitary, but
there's something that Fitzmagic is. He's taking the nation by storm. He's going to win the MVP. Maybe that's a little bold.
4 times now. So like, let's again.
This also
keep that
though
in check. But if I'm getting one game, I'm getting Fitzmagic. No doubt.
He actually is terrible for the Buccaneers, though. If you hear me out, now the Buccaneers need to. I think Dirk Cutter is a terrible coach and they need to move on from him. But now, and they really need to bottom out this year and probably just get a good pick. And they need to figure out, is Jameis Winston worth saddling up and keeping as your guy or not? And it's going to be hard to bench Fitzmagic right now. And these games he's winning, they're probably going to come back down to earth at some point, end up 6-10. And he's just ruining their draft pick by winning these games early.
He's the Broncos with Tim Tebow right now is what he is.
Right.
It's a deficit you have to overcome. You have to get Peyton Manning to get out of that. So good luck, Buccaneers.
But so one game, LJ's got Fitzpatrick. I love it. All right, what you got next?
Okay. All right.
Let's see. I don't think the Patriots actually deflated the footballs, and the Spygate thing is the most BS rule, blah, blah, blah.
Wait,
ever.
You are the Patriot hater. You hate the Patriots, and you're defending them?
Absolutely. But first off, playing cards is a little different than playing for a national football championship. So like your example of when the sun goes down and all of a sudden the game changes, but they have rules. It's different there. That's a bit absurd. But also like the science says that the balls will be deflated because it's cold outside. Like that's the way that it works. The Spygate thing was they filmed during a game from an unsanctioned part of the stadium. You're allowed to film the coaches, but they just happen to have it in a different part of the stadium than you're allowed to. What the Broncos did was actually worse when they actually were doing their Spygate business the next year with former Patriot people.
This is a guy that, ever since I can remember, LJ has despised the Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and he is defending him.
Yeah.
So
that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, I'm saying like hate them because they're awful, but like let's not make up, you know?
Well, LJ also does like to argue, Kevin. He is pretty good at it too.
I do think the whole NFL is just mad at how good the Patriots have been for 10 years. That like they found this, like Jim Irsay and the Colts found this Deflategate thing, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to go with it." And the NFL's like, "Yeah, anything to get at the Patriots," and they took a first round pick away for it. It was ridiculous.
Fined him $500,000, didn't they?
Let's bust him after a 42-7 win. It's the stupidest. So let's see. I'm glad you guys finally figured out buy low and sell high on the buy segment. That took a little bit of time.
It took some work.
And I'm curious to why you guys thought it'd be okay to give some of our web space away for free to Tony without
are we talking about the Bonehammer logo?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
We're giving up. I guess we kind of
supposed to be a bet.
We kind of gave up some realty, and we didn't even talk to the third party.
What did we agree? What did we agree to do?
Well, you agreed on, I guess, what was it? The Ravens,
the Redskins and the Ravens.
On? Yeah.
Okay. Who both lost this week?
Correct.
Right. And so whoever wins that bet at the end of the season, we get nothing out of it. And Tony gets to put his logo up on our website if he wins. But then you guys also said, we'll give it away for free. Who cares? So I don't.
True that. Yeah. We were just having fun. But he can put it up like a thumbnail. It's going to be like teeny tiny, teeny. Nothing big.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like, LJ, you got a good point. Dad's just a terrible negotiator, and he did not do a very good job making this bet. Because the JPP pot gets nothing out of this.
I need to get back with Tony and see what I win. When Baltimore has a better record, what do I win? So far, nothing.
What do you do on MyBookie, Dad? Do you just say like, well, if I lose, I'll give away my money, but if I win, it was fun.
Just keep it.
It was fun playing.
Yeah.
And the last thing I've got is I think, Kevin, you're going to get us sued at some point.
How's that?
So,
with our different
little, with sound bites.
it's very small sound bite, and if anything, we're helping.
Sure.
We're putting out our vast audience is now getting to hear
NSYNC needed that bump.
So, all right,
but that's all I got.
So. We're recording this on Sunday night, so I'm sure this will be more of a conversation this week. But I was watching the first round of the games earlier, the noon games, and the fact that Aaron Rodgers was able to play on one, I wouldn't have put him out there on one leg against that defense. I was like, this is your franchise guy. Yeah. I wouldn't test it, but he played pretty well. And I don't understand why the NFL has ties. This is the stupidest thing in the world. Why do we just decide, okay, we'll just end it now? And you got to finish the game, like do college or do another quarter. There's got to be a better way than to call it a tie. And now we're going to have to get Andrew Siciliano on Red Zone channel to bring out all the mathematics for me at the end of the year when we talk playoff scenario, because I don't know. This one's a divisional one, so now we count up points.
It's going to change everything.
It's confusing. And there's 2 ties now. I don't understand. Blows my mind.
I did say, so while I was in Orlando, we were there and there were some Cleveland fans sitting on the bus on the way to Disney by me and Hannah, and they were just so pumped about the tie last week. And I was like, that's the most Cleveland thing I've ever heard in my life.
And then, did you see how they followed it up this week? So they were playing the Saints, and they got the game-winning touchdown. They scored like a minute left, and all they had to do was kick the extra point to take the lead. They missed the extra point, and then let the Saints go march right down there and make the game-winning field goal. The Browns are I have
a question for you. If you're in the trenches in a war zone and you've got some snipers doing some covering fire for you, would you rather have the playoff Houston Rockets or week 2 NFL kickers covering for you? Because neither of them can hit a
damn thing. So, okay, that gets me to what was my bigger tangent of this after watching this week's games. Why I'm out on the kicker. We just need to get rid of kickers altogether. I don't understand how they got their spot in football. I know we were just talking about how awesome Seahawks punter is, and I'm still team Michael Dixon, but kickers, the whole point of football is get from one end of the field to the next and try to score a touchdown. And then but if we can't get a touchdown, we bring this guy in who's not even a football player. He's like a soccer player. And we ask if he can kick an oblong ball through these why did we decide that this guy can come in here and get
are you trying to take kickers out of football?
We don't need,
it's called football.
That's a good point. But the whole point of the game is like these massive men who are the fastest, strongest, most athletic men hitting each other. And then we bring this kicker in who no one can touch. And he gets, not only does he score, he gets half a touchdown for these kicks. He gets 3 points for each kick. And the whole game comes down to whether we have Aaron Rodgers going up against the best defense in football, maybe with the Vikings, all these guys out there. And it was a great game. And then it comes down to Mason Crosby couldn't make a kick. And then Carlson, whoever the kicker was for the Vikings, couldn't make a kick to save his life. It just is ridiculous that the game comes down to these guys. I don't understand.
Well, see, I love it. I think that it's really good strategic. The game is more about field positioning with kickers in it than without it. Without the kickers, it's all about just, where you take the ball. And I think the awesome thing about the NFL is it's like maybe the most league where you have specialized players that do a specific job and then they all have to come together as a team. And the kickers are the least together with everybody, but they're still wildly important.
But then they're not even, I get what you're saying, but they're not even with the team. They practice by themselves. They don't watch film. I mean,
well, so does RG3, but
it would be the same thing as because kicking a field goal is just it's not running, it's not catching, it's not throwing. There's nothing that's football about it. I understand you did bring up a good point about the title, the name. I do understand the irony now.
But he's kicking the ball with his foot. It's called football. Have you ever tried to kick a field goal? Let me ask you that. Have you ever tried to kick a field goal?
No, but
try. It's not easy.
It's hard. It's hard.
Right.
Next
and it's also not football.
It's a long way away.
It's this random thing that we put in the middle of the game. It'd be the same thing. Like, all right, we're in Game 7 of the finals.
It's not a brand new thing. It existed.
It's Game 7 of the finals. It's Warriors versus Cavs, and the game. Like we've been watching LeBron and Steph Curry do this amazing thing. But then at the very end, we're going to bring on a curler to see who the best curler is to see who can win the game.
No, here's a better metaphor.
This isn't even the game.
Let's kick out free throws because that's not basketball. Basketball is about finesse and playing one-on-one.
That's still shooting.
Let's also take out those timeouts that move you down but the game of basketball is not all about shooting. The game of basketball is about spacing, and there's no spacing in free throws, is there?
So, and speaking of the stars in basketball, who's won the most titles? Big Shot. What's his name?
Big Shot Rob. You talking about Robert Horry or
Big Shot Rob? Yeah, Big Shot Robert Horry. It's not the superstars. It's the kicker. It's the kicker that's making the basket.
At least Robert Horry is shooting a basketball. A kicker, this guy comes in and kicks the ball. The whole game, we're trying to hit each other real hard, but then we bring this guy in to kick a 50-yard field goal. On the whole game, all of this comes down to one play, and it's this kicker. We're bringing Martin Gramatica, who decides whether we win or lose this game. It's ridiculous. That guy got hurt celebrating. He tore his ACL celebrating.
No, that was his brother, Frank.
Oh.
Those Gramaticas.
It's one of those liquored up kickers. The whole game hinges on this.
The other thing is that the NFL is just like they want to put all their money into quarterbacks, which is an overrated position, and they end up saying, well, if my kicker wants a single cent raise, we're going to cut him and pick up a rookie. And every year these rookies end up looking terrible, and then so someone like who the Cowboys just cut, he's going to get a lot of calls tomorrow.
He should, because
even though nobody wanted him.
Dan Bailey should get a call because no one can make a damn field goal. I just don't understand. I think we already should. LJ's proven to us that we should get rid of the kickoff. So what are we doing? These kickers are irrelevant. We don't need them. They don't need to be in the game. I hate to talk about another man's job, but they just don't need to be in the NFL. I'm out on kickers, and it bothers me to know that the game, we pay all this money and all these athletes, and these guys are sacrificing and getting hurt, and then this damn kicker comes in to decide whether
nobody wants
Vikings,
to pay anything.
Yeah, and they don't even want them. Yeah, the NFL doesn't even want them because they won't pay them.
I know, but if they decided, if a team said, I want the best kicker in the NFL, you end up, there's
no. The Cowboys tried that. They paid Vanderjack like $8 million, and then he couldn't kick a damn thing because he's the liquored up kicker, and we had to cut him.
Was he the liquored up kicker? Was that Vanderjack?
Yeah, that was when he was at the Colts, and Peyton Manning said, "Our damn liquored up kicker."
But the Broncos won a Super Bowl off of a defense and a kicker. That's all they had. So
True.
There's value to a kicker.
So
just saying
that's what I was watching that because that was the game I was really, especially when I saw Rodgers was playing. I really want to watch the Vikings Packers, and then we ended up in a tie. And so ties and kickers, they need to go. They need to just get out of the game. So.
You're right.
We brought it up earlier before we got on. The other big game of the week, and I didn't get to watch it. I was on the road, but I looked up just the stat lineup. But the AFC matchup, the championship rematch between the Jags and Patriots. I just looked at the stats, and so you guys can tell me what you saw. I know you were watching some of it, Dad. It looked like Blake Bortles just outplayed Tom Brady. Is that what happened on the field, or there was no Fournette in the game?
Did you get to see any? Did you see any of the game?
I watched it on the Red Zone, so I was watching the Broncos.
Well, my opinion of it was Bortles was on point.
Yeah.
He was accurate with his passing.
Yeah.
They did not take their foot off the gas. They played aggressive the whole time. I think they learned don't play not to lose again because that's the best thing to do when you want to lose.
Yeah.
And you're right, though. But without Fournette, I really kind of wanted to bet this game, as I mentioned earlier to you guys. But I was a little worried about it with Fournette out, and they didn't really miss him. That Keenan Cole,
that catch,
that catch
was amazing.
Did you see?
Well, and his whole game,
Odell Beckham
look at the stat line later, but that guy, if you're looking for a pickup on fantasy, he's going somewhere.
Well, he's taken in our league, and he made the block that won the game.
Yeah, he had a hell of a
I can't remember who that guy was. Yeah, he made the block that got the guy in the end zone at the end of the game that really put it away.
That catch was unbelievable.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was the Odell catch.
And put it away and held on. It was it was really good.
The other thing I saw is the Jags had Belichick's number. They were so deep in their playbook by the middle of that game already because nothing was playing for them. And
so I know it's week 2. So this is right now is the perfect time to come on with some overreaction. And, like at one point, I think we buried the Patriots like multiple times after a couple like week 2 or 3 because they lost.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or the Saints, I think last year the Saints started 0-2 and people were talking about Breeze retiring and then they end up almost going to the Super Bowl. So it's you probably shouldn't write off a team now.
On him.
Yeah. But
the Mahomes of last year.
But it just, I wonder a little bit. So, and Dad had a point. I kind of thought about this when Dad was talking, but So the Patriots, the Jaguars are just the Jaguars. It's just another game for them. You know, Bill Belichick's always, we're just focused on the Jaguars. It's just another game. The Jaguars probably all offseason, though, looked forward to this one because they were like, oh, we got to avenge. We had that game won. We should have beat them. So they probably wanted this game. The coaches and the players wanted this game so bad that they were ready to do it, like play as hard and pull out all the stops. I wonder if Belichick, because I've read that Belichick doesn't even bring out like a lot of his schemes until later, like because he doesn't want to put anything on film. Like I wonder if he kind of just almost, there's no way he went and punted on the game, but I wonder if he kind of went into it going, if we lose this one, I don't want to show the Jaguars everything I got because this is who they're probably going to play. He sees them as
play in the playoffs. Yeah.
I think another thing is we talked about Jalen Ramsey a couple weeks ago. I think he got into the Patriots' head too, because I don't know if you guys saw, he came out, I think it was this last week, but he was talking about Gronk and how Gronk is really overrated. And the only thing that happens is,
imagine that Jalen Ramsey thinks someone's overrated. That's wild.
Yeah. Not a surprise. But he was saying that Gronk is entirely coverable if you cover him with a corner instead of a linebacker. And then I think that the Patriots said, okay, you want to try to cover Gronk with a corner? We'll see what happens. And they had all these plays drawn up. And then it turned out he was being double covered by safeties all game long. So
yeah, and I
didn't get the scheme he was looking for.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't watch the game, but the stat line didn't show Gronk didn't really make any kind of, it didn't seem like he impacted the game much at all. The Jaguars, and they do have a roster kind of made with, like Jalen Ramsey is prototypical. He's a taller, he's got long arms, he's athletic enough. He's not quite as obviously as big as Gronk, but if you can have a guy like Jalen Ramsey and then, like you're saying, give him help over the top, maybe you can take Gronk out of the game. No one else could, but
well, I don't think Ramsey covered him a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
It was the safeties, right?
He said we'll put corners on him and we'll shut him down, and then they never put a corner on him. I don't think all game long.
So I think that was an amazing setup. Is what I think it was. I think that's they got Belichicked is what they got.
We were talking a couple weeks ago about whether or not it was stupid for Jalen Ramsey to talk trash about the Patriots, and I think he played them right into his hands. Maybe he was just talking trash, and we'll see what happens.
Maybe you're right, but I mean, talking trash, if it works, if I can get into your head, so be it. Yeah. That's your fault. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with talking a little trash. I mean, you need to back it up, but
Josh Norman back in the day against Odell Beckham and with Dez a game or two, like took them out of the game by getting into their head.
Took them out of the game.
We saw it with Reggie Miller back in basketball back in the day. Larry Bird was good. Like they took people out of the game. Jordan, it's part of it. It's a mental part. It's mostly about your athleticism on here, but there's a mental part of the game.
You're 80% half mental.
Yeah. So the other two things I really just of the games today, and then there's the big news, the Josh Gordon news. I kind of want to get in with y'all a little bit, but
sure.
I don't know do we know, is Deshaun Watson as good as we thought, or do we maybe that was a flash in the pan? I don't know. It's only 2 weeks, and he might come out next week and be amazing. But what are y'all's thoughts?
He had a pretty good stat line this week, didn't he?
I watched the game, and he just they didn't look great.
I didn't see the game, so but I think he had 300 yards and a couple of TDs. So right, they lost.
They lost to the Titans, who I don't think are that great. And Mariota didn't even play. It was against
Mariota was out. You're right.
Stat line's not everything either. I mean, I'll say I watched Ben Roethlisberger look like garbage and still get almost 400 yards and 6 touchdowns or something stupid. But he overthrew every receiver by a mile.
I'm interested in seeing that go forward, because it is kind of one of those things, like LJ just said, as a Cowboy fan, I know firsthand, once the NFL gets tape on a guy and gets a year to kind of study him, like RG3, like Dak, all of a sudden they're not quite the same thing. You realize, you figure out, and maybe this only 2 weeks and maybe he's great next week. Who knows? But but it's possible they kind of figured out, oh, he does have some tells. He kind of you can figure out where he's passing, or he doesn't.
Or you see
well
just where his strengths are and know to shut him down in this thing. Yeah, exactly, like you were just.
Because Dak has not been the same quarterback. LJ was not hit that on the head. I mean, he is. That first year, it looked like the Cowboys had a franchise guy, and he still might be. I don't think you can say for definitively yay or nay, but I think it's. At one point, people were ready to throw the money to him and forgot all about Tony Romo. And now that you do hear the rumblings like, oh, Dak's actually maybe not that good, and people are wishing Romo was back. And so it just is funny how that happens.
So let me ask you this question, Kevin. As a Dallas fan, you can have Dak Prescott or Deshaun Watson as your quarterback right now. Who do you take?
Good question.
Probably Deshaun Watson. And the main reason is just because my main reason would be, and this is why I think if I had to choose if I was buying in on Deshaun Watson or not, I'm not jumping ship yet, because I watched that man tear up a Nick Saban defense in the national championship, not once, but a second year in a row. Like Nick Saban had a full film on him and got to see him, and then he did it to him again. So that's impressive. Not many people have done that in the college, and I know NFL is different, but I think Deshaun will figure it out. It just
Alabama's as close to an NFL team as it gets. So.
Yeah, it's pretty much an NFL team wearing college jerseys. They just don't get paid yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I don't know. Your question, I think Deshaun Watson is going to be okay. I really do. I think he'll turn in a solid year. But maybe not the year that some people were purporting at the first of the year, but I think he will turn in a solid year this year.
And then the other
is always tough.
And we don't need to get into the game, but we talked about it Tuesday with Tony. The Rams are freaking good, guys. That team is so good. Yeah. And I know we were talking about quarterbacks just now, and I was the one saying that I think Jared Goff and Dak Prescott are the same guy. But I don't know if I'll stay on that take forever. But their Rams are just so good. That defense and the way they get Gurley the ball. I mean, it seemed like I just looked up the score when I stopped to get gas. I wasn't like I said, didn't get to watch the second round of games, and it was like 30-0 when you snap, you blink, and the game was out of reach. And then all of a sudden they get a lead on you, and they have Sue and Donald breathing down your, like, as a quarterback. That's scary.
Yeah. That game got out of hand, and it still didn't look as good in the scoreboard for the Rams as it actually looked if you watched it. It was insane.
Yeah. Let me ask you an easier question, Kev. So would you rather have Jason Garrett or Sean McVay as your coach for the Cowboys?
well there is zero question about that. And y'all saw the video. I think we were talking about it before, but that video of him recalling plays where like a guy asked Sean McVay, like it was pretty impressive. They were asking plays from last year. So they would go, what happened on 2nd and 7, 12 minutes left in the second quarter. What happened on that play? And he knew exactly. He was like, 3-step drop hit, wheel route for Josh Reynolds, 27-yard touchdown. Like, he knew the exact play. And so that's pretty impressive. But you thought, he probably has been watching film all offseason. Maybe that's kind of fresh. That's still crazy. But then they go, all right, now we're going to go back to 2012. You're an offensive assistant, like at 20. He's just now getting his first job, right? 2nd and 7 from the 24. What happened? And he was like, Jordan Reed, 24-yard hitch. But then we end up finishing that drive on a rollout. Like, he knew how that whole drive finished from 5 years ago. It was insane. He's a savant.
Yeah.
I don't understand where he gets the headroom to fit all that information in.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Yeah. He is insane. His photographic memory is insane.
So the Rams are good. Are we worried about the Steelers?
Oh, I think they're garbage.
They're now 0-1-1. This whole Le'Veon Bell, the team, kind of that chemistry thing. We talked about it a little bit before, but something's weird about their chemistry.
I think the offense
Ben Roethlisberger on the downhill. I
think Ben Roethlisberger's overrated, but I think the offense is going to be fine because the weapons there, even without Le'Veon Bell, is insane. But that defense is a wet paper bag. Like, there's just nothing going on there. So
yeah, it's bad. Well, they played a once in a generation type quarterback.
Well, true.
Calm down.
Wait, are you talking about Tyrod Taylor or Patrick Mahomes? Which one's the once in a generation scoring machine?
Yeah.
I've got another little take on Pittsburgh. I noticed that, so Antonio Brown had 17 targets, caught 9 balls. J.J. Smith-Schuster had 19 targets, caught 13 balls. The next guy had 5 targets. So that tells me, guard these wideouts. Double the wideouts. Now, well, wait a minute. I think, is Jesse James, is he still with Pittsburgh?
He's a tight end. Yeah, he had a couple big catches. I don't know what his final stat line, but he had.
I don't think he had less than 5 catches. I can tell you that, or 5 or less. But he did have a big day. I think he caught over 100 yards. But wow, do they go to the wideouts? I just thought that just impressed me that they go to the wideouts, and I think that is Le'Veon Bell not being there.
Right. There's some targets. Le'Veon Bell gets a ton of targets out of the backfield.
Most targets out of anybody, right? That's his thing.
Yeah. Most touches,
and that's
anybody.
what LJ. I think LJ has a point that the offense. I do think the Steelers should be a little worried, but I don't think it's I don't know if it's call Le'Veon Bell and pay him whatever he wants, because it's not the offense that's the issue.
Except for maybe
it doesn't seem like James Conner is. I think he's okay, but he's not the same. He's not the same as Le'Veon Bell. There's a whole different element to the game that Bell brings. but they can't pay him the money that he wants long term because, like LJ said, there's bigger problems on that roster, and it's the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they're playing got to score now all game long. They can't even run it to James Conner. Like there's no point in the game where that's viable because they're behind the clock immediately with that defense.
It was interesting. Right before we got on, I heard Al Michaels. They were talking about there's two running backs in this game, and with Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott, and they were talking about Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers a little bit. And he threw out this stat. I didn't realize this, but he said there's over 40 offensive linemen that are getting paid higher salaries than any running back. Like you take the highest paid running back, not counting Le'Veon Bell because he's the highest paid running back with his franchise tag, but not counting Bell. Well, I don't. Michaels was just saying if you take the highest paid running back, there's 40 offensive linemen that are paid more than him. It just shows where the NFL values, and they don't value that running back position. They'll go try to get a Kamara or a Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
They're not going to go pay you your money. So someone will with Le'Veon Bell, but I don't think the Steelers will or should. I'm with LJ. You can't go 5 years, and even though I think he's great, they've got bigger tear an ACL, and I get him wanting to get his money too. But so I know LJ, you're a big fan of you. Every year in fantasy, it seems like you got the optimism. You want to get Josh Gordon, and well, we were all pumped. I was pumped to watch him, and it's wild because I think honestly, Josh Gordon, his 30 for 30, and we don't know. I will say, so the news this morning, and when this comes out, people might know exactly what happened, and they might know what team he's on. He might have gone through waivers, whatever. But the Browns announced yesterday, I believe on Saturday, that he will be released, or they will either trade him or release him, but he won't be with the team on Monday when their roster comes out. And they didn't say that he failed a drug test. All I read that, unless there's new news that you've seen, all I read is that he showed up late on Saturday and seemed erratic, possibly of some drug use. But it's just, this guy might be the best receiver in the game of football right now.
Generational talent.
He cannot get on the field. This is legitimate.
This is
generational
maybe
talent.
Not a joke. If he can get it together. One of the things that I saw today was that they had put out a report that it actually had nothing to do with drugs. And so one of the things that I think you can imply from the way this is being dealt with is if he did fail a test, he's going to be suspended. So a trade's not really going to be something people are going to be looking to do. So he probably didn't fail a drug test. Maybe they did suspect something. But what I was reading is it had more to do with, I think he hurt a hamstring during a photo shoot, and they were like, that's not a team photo shoot. You're spending your time getting hurt on some other project. But so what I heard about that, someone commented that it's like your girlfriend cheats on you and you're with her for 5 years and you get over it, and then she brings back the wrong kind of milk and you break up with her immediately. Like it just seems.
Well, that's the thing. Like they've gone through so much with Josh Gordon.
They've waited for 6 years.
They got him into rehab, and then he screwed him over, and he fell back in the hole. And then it's like their girlfriend cheated on him 3 times, and they've gotten back together. And then it was just 2% milk is why they broke up now, and that's why it just is wild. And I'm just waiting. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before he's wearing a Patriots jersey and he breaks Randy Moss's record, and the Patriots just do this.
No, he's going NFC. I think he's looking. I saw he's looking at the 49ers as like a place he's excited, and maybe even Dallas. There's a place he's excited.
I was going to say that. Come on, Dallas is the new Al Davis Raiders. Bring me your poor,
just win, baby.
Bring me your poor, your pitiful, your cheaters, your liars, your drunkards. Bring them if they can play. Bring them to us.
Fair.
And Dallas could use a stud receiver.
Yeah,
fair.
There's no doubt about it.
Fair.
I could definitely see him going to Dallas, and I don't know what happened to him. I want to see the kid play because God, he is a talent.
Yeah.
But man, he's got some problems.
And I want to see him get his life together. We talked about a couple weeks ago, just on a
more
human
than anything
level.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he's going to be good.
We brought this up. I think I've brought this up. I think LJ said it before, either on the pod or just to us in general. And when we were talking this weekend, Dad, someone else said it, but it might be a mental disorder. I don't know for sure if it's necessarily, he's just smoking pot and playing Madden all night. Like, it's not necessarily like he's a pothead. Maybe he does have an issue, and this is just the best way for him to cope with it. I'm just with y'all. He is so good. And that year that he went crazy and won a bunch of people their fantasy league, he led the NFL in receiving after missing 2 games. Yeah. And he had on the Browns with no quarterback, no run game.
I think 3.
So you knew what they were going to do. And and he still did it. So obviously this guy's amazing. And then Dad brought up, he's like Odell Beckham just got, I forget what the full contract was, but he just got $90 million or 50 guaranteed or something insane.
Something huge.
Josh Gordon is as good probably as Odell Beckham if he can stay on the field. He lost out on at least probably $75 million because it seems like he can't fail a drug or can't pass a drug test, which is
it's addiction. I mean,
mind-boggling.
Hell of a disease.
Addiction is in whatever method it is, whatever your addiction is it life changes you.
Yeah.
It just can life change you.
I'm with y'all. I hope the best for him, but I do think this has got like amazing 30 for 30 potential written all over it. Like in 30 years, like
the comeback happens,
maybe the star that never was, or the comeback that, it just, there's so much to this. And I think there's things that we won't know and don't know. And I hope he's still playing football. He's just fun to watch play football. So I hope he gets it all figured out.
That reminds me, do you remember, have you ever seen the Marcus Dupree 30 for 30?
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I just wonder, I hope Josh Gordon is not, driving a truck or whatever.
Yeah.
But could be, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So real quick, and I want to get on to, did y'all have any other football notes? I kind of wanted to switch gears. I had a question for y'all, but y'all have any notes from football?
I know that we've got some requests to get you guys' reaction on Arkansas if you have anything.
The Arkansas, the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, I want to talk about the mountains,
the rivers. There's really nice rivers and mountains, and there's good camp. Oh, you mean the Razorbacks?
The Razorbacks specifically, yeah.
Okay, let me lay this out here, and y'all call me on this. I may be way off on this, but the fair catch that wasn't, right, okay,
right.
So what's going to happen?
Oh, I
somebody's
know.
fixing to get lambasted, right?
Yep.
Somebody's going to get drilled.
Yeah,
I really kind of think that was a little bit of a cheap shot. I mean, hey, it was fair. It was right. He didn't call. He did a little something with his hands. I know when I was watching.
Put him up.
You're right, but I know when I was watching it, I thought he fair called it, and then he just stood there.
But the ref,
he fooled me. He did it, but the referee knew. The referee didn't blow a whistle. It's all fine. It was not an unfair play. It's actually like, good for you. Fool me once, shame on me, or whatever. Or that's not the saying, but anyway.
All right, George Bush. Yeah, you know the saying.
They got us good. But what's going to happen? What's going to happen is somebody's fixing to get drilled.
Yeah. I mean, I think there needs to be, the NCAA needs to be looking at a rule change right now of like a whistle blows anytime a fair catch is called or something like that.
I don't know. That was a little bit, it seemed a little cheap to me, but hey, they got us. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah,
I'm saying us because I'm an Arkansas guy.
It is dangerous. Someone's going to get laid out.
It's dangerous. Thank you, LJ. That's what I'm saying. It was clever. It was brilliant. Cool. It worked. It's
so
dangerous.
Much fun to watch. Hilarious.
Yes. It'd be more fun if I was a UNT fan. I guarantee you that. So
I want to kind of react to that. And two thoughts is, one, let's play both sides of it. That's just ridiculous that everyone on the radio, there was no whistle blown. You always play to a whistle, and you just everyone, you gotta blame some of that on the Razorbacks.
Absolutely, I blame it all on the Razorbacks. It's all on the Razorbacks. If I was just making sure. Yes, it's all on the Razorbacks.
That's just a lack of attention to detail. And
maybe the punter's responsibility is to call out a fair catch. I mean, because someone's got to be watching for that and call it out, because you're trying to get past a block. If you're the gunner, you're not looking.
Well, clearly. So I understand, like, the guy's right there because he does pause for a second, and the guy's right there. Probably thought, oh, okay, I guess maybe he's not running. So they start walking up. That's not forgivable. You should be paying attention. But what is the 9 other guys that are back here? Are they all did they turn around or did they get blindfolded? He took off running and no one was even close.
I saw one guy give chase. One guy I saw actually go after him, which is pretty low numbers for out of 11.
That's all on Arkansas. Yeah. It is.
And to your point, though, on the safety side of it, I could not agree with you more, because I think it was DJ Williams. You remember the former tight end for Arkansas about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I followed him on Twitter, and he tweeted out, he's like, look, clean play, that's fine, whatever. He has a good job, but I already know if I'm on that punt team, the next punt, somebody is rocking that man. Someone is going to hit him dead in the face. Don't matter. I don't care if it's fair catch or not, just because I'm gonna make sure he never does that again.
You don't play that.
So,
that's right. Yeah.
There's throw the flag on me. I'll drill him and say, throw the damn flag.
Kick me out of the game, but that'll never happen again.
So Y'all are right. The college, NFL, like football in general, they ought to come up with this rule now before it happens when someone just drills them just to set the tone.
Because that's not going to look good on Good Morning America when somebody just lays out and paralyzes a punt returner.
But my reaction, you said that someone wanted to know as a Razorback fan, like what is our reaction to the weekend? And I will say, actually, I think I'm going to enjoy my football watching tenfold
even more
right now because I've punted on the season, and after Colorado State, I was pretty much punting on it. But I thought, maybe they can kind of turn around. Maybe it's one game. They can maybe get to a bowl. I don't even care. I won't get invested as much. The losses won't hurt. The wins will be fun if they happen. Maybe the one win we get. I don't know if that happens or not, but I'm just going to enjoy football as a whole and not just be heartbroken that the Cowboys and Razorback. If you would have told me before Saturday, there's going to be a play where a guy fakes a fair catch and the whole kicking team doesn't notice it and he runs 90 yards for a touchdown, I'd have been like, oh, that sounds like something that would happen to the Cowboys or Razorbacks. And then it happened to the Razorbacks. So I don't, whether it be like I got the Cowboys game on, if they lose, I just don't think they're going to have a good year. Obviously, the Razorbacks aren't going to have a good year. So I'm just not going to be let down by this anymore.
I have a question
I'm just going to enjoy football.
Does it make
Razorbacks suck?
I think it makes me quite happy to know that the Razorbacks might be the only team that you can unequivocally say do not pay their players in the SEC. It's just like that's spectacular. That's an integrity move for the School of Arkansas.
Yeah, at one point someone said like all this stuff, there was some stuff going around about, and I think this is actually basketball, but there was the stuff going around about Nike and Adidas and whether they were paying, you remember the whole FBI thing. And it was funny. Mike Anderson said, or Jeff Long, one of them, I don't forget who it was. They were just like, yeah, well, the one thing I'll say about our program is we are not paying. We're not doing all this stuff. And
you're damn right.
And clearly they're not paying a damn thing. And if they are paying something, then they are doing a bad job of investing because and maybe all that I said about how I'm just going to enjoy football, that was also coming after like an hour on Saturday where I was just depressed and like you should have put a mic in my face after the game because I was just like, we suck. I was pouting for a good 30 minutes. I turned off the TV. I opened up a magazine.
Just spectacular.
Oh, I pouted up for a while, no doubt. But I do like your take on that. Yeah, maybe now I can just watch it dispassionately and enjoy good plays and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And so, like we mentioned earlier, this pod, I want to go on to some other stuff, not football related. We'll have another pod out later where we'll kind of get into some of the reaction of the actual what happened in the games. But like we said, the podcast is brought to you by MyBookie. They're the sponsors of the JPP pod, and actually they just upped their offer a little bit more. So before we already told you if you type in, if you're a listener of our pod, then they would match your bonus. So if you go put in up to I think what was it, $1,000, they'll match whatever you put in.
Yeah.
And so if you put 5, they'll put 5. And now what they're doing is they'll match whatever you do. So people, and to people like Dad, to Big Stacks over there, this isn't anything, he's probably depositing that $1,000. But like we talked about, Dad or El, there is a limit for us.
Right.
And they're going to add a $25 additional $25 plus match whatever you put in. So when we put in our little measly 100, we're going to get a fourth of that also.
Yeah,
they're going to match it and then give us 25
more. That's a big percentage
more.
For us. That's awesome.
So for us little guys, we got a chance. So now it's time to go put our parlay down. I'm going to go listen to whatever we talk about when we come out on Thursday. We're going to tell you what games to go bet on and then go do the opposite clearly, but put in JPP 25 and you'll get an extra $25 on MyBookie. And that's MyBookie.ag. They basically, it's the saying is what they go with and what's true. You play, you win, and they pay. It just, they put money in your pocket.
Yep.
So did y'all see we talked about last week how the Bills are who we thought they were, and they were just the worst team ever. Did you see that it's obviously so bad that their cornerback, Vontae Davis, retired at halftime? Halftime.
No way.
Well, he up and left. He said,
I could not make this up.
Yeah, he said, I'm done, and walked away. And then one of the linebackers told the coach he's retiring. That's legitimately what happened. Yes.
He pulled himself out of the game, and he said that reality just hit him at halftime and that he can't play the way to the standard that he holds for himself. And then like before the game was over, he already had a tweet. It's like it was in his drafts or something because he already had a tweet that was like, I'm hanging him up. It's been a great career, blah, blah, blah. And like they asked a linebacker after, he's like, I've never seen this before. I asked, when's Vontae coming back in? Is he hurt? And they're like, no, he retired. And I was like, what? He retired at halftime? I've never even heard of that before. You don't even quit on a pickup game like that. That's like the kid. He's the kid playing Monopoly who just throws the board because he didn't win it. He just quit.
We thought Marshawn quit unceremoniously with just the tweet of the shoes, but no, this is like a totally different ballgame.
This was hilarious. The other two things, these are completely not football related, and LJ, I guess you won't know this as much because you're not an iPhone user, but I'm all team Apple. I got my MacBook sitting here, my phone, my watch. They've got me hook, line, and sinker. They just got all my money, but. It's the joke. The old joke is, as soon as that new iPhone comes out, your old one's going to start acting up. Well, I'll be damn if when they didn't announce on Tuesday this new awesome iPhone, mine starts doing this thing where it says no SIM card can be detected. I just dropped service out of nowhere. The other day I was talking to my dad, and I was talking to my dad. He's right here. I was talking to Pops, and the phone just dropped. It just dropped and said no service, and then I had to turn it off and on. Yeah. And Dad's like, what's going on? I was like, I cannot make this up. My phone just doesn't work anymore. They came out with the new one, and now Apple's screwed up my phone, and it just. I'm probably going to have to go get a damn new one because now I have to stay on the phone.
Planned obsolescence.
That was Friday. They came out with the new one on Thursday. I mean, that's legitimately the truth.
Yeah.
I can't go like some of those Galaxies look pretty good, but I already got the watch and the phone. Like they all connect together now. And so they got me. I'm stuck with these.
Can you connect an Apple Watch to an Android? I think you might be able to. It's not going to be as functional, but
I don't know. It just, I thought it was just a joke. I thought it was funny, and it happened once, and I thought that's coincidence. That's crazy. It's been doing it all weekend. My phone doesn't work right, and damn Apple, they're too smart, and I'm going to keep giving them all my money. But
and they actually have found that in previous versions, I don't think they do it anymore, but they would like intentionally make the updates bigger than the phone could handle if it were an older phone. So an older phone started getting slower.
Yeah, so like the new software update, it literally couldn't run it. It was too much for it to run.
Which I don't believe they're doing anymore, but that was like, so it does prove that is kind of their market strategy is planned obsolescence for sure.
We haven't done the segment in a while, the Explain It to Kevin segment,
Sweet.
But we should start. Well, I don't have one for you today. I haven't.
So
we have an etiquette question that I want to get to in a second, but Twitter, we might need to start a new segment where it's just what we learned from Twitter this week. Twitter taught me, did you know, and maybe I'm the only one that didn't know this, but did you know that all peppers, like, the green peppers, the red peppers, the yellow peppers, they're all the same color. They just change by either when you pick them or they're all just a pepper, and then they change different colors. That blew my mind. I thought a red pepper was a red pepper and a green pepper was a green pepper.
I learned that because I left some peppers in my fridge for too long, and they all turned into, I think, red peppers eventually, just over time.
Dad, did you know that? Is that just us millennials don't know anything?
I think so. I mean, they all are green, and then you pick them, and then they change. And the ones you better worry about is those orange ones. You know what those orange ones are?
No.
Habanero.
Oh, well,
those are the habaneros.
That's a different.
Those are the ones where you better wash your hands before you go to the bathroom.
That's a different pepper.
Yeah. You touch one of those habaneros, and you touch, things that shouldn't be touched after touching an habanero, and it's
obviously
bad. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know what you're talking about on what to touch, but I'm just going to go ahead and make a guess, and I don't want to learn from experience on.
If you're handling peppers, wash your hands a lot.
Another fun fact about peppers is jalapenos and chipotle, the exact same thing. It's just the process that's done.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, jalapeno is picked as a jalapeno and then sometimes pickled. Chipotle is a roasted jalapeno that gets grinded. Yeah.
I'll be damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dropping some knowledge on us. There's a knowledge bomb from LJ. Okay.
Good to have him back, isn't it?
Yeah. We're definitely smarter. So, okay. And you mentioned jalapenos. And so that makes me think, we went to, I have an etiquette question on, we went to a Mexican restaurant the other day, and I was with a big group of people.
A mixed Tex-Mex.
What's the rules on salsa and queso at the table? Like with like your chips and salsa, can you salt them? Do you need to ask the table before you salt them?
Ask. Yeah, definitely ask.
What about the people?
I think you have to ask.
But there are the people, like, if you sat down with them, they sit down and they'll get the salt and just start salting it and don't ask anyone. And I kind of look at them like, I mean, I do want the salt, but you could have at least asked me.
Yeah. I might have high blood pressure, think about everybody.
Well, and here's what you do. What you do is you put a little salt in your salsa, in your own little pot.
But some people you want to salt the chip, not the salsa. You want to salt the chip.
It really it doesn't stick to the chips much.
No,
really.
Yeah.
I don't think. That's what I'm saying. You put it in your salsa, it's better. And then, then I'm not. And then I'm not bothering you.
You say tomato, I say tomato. I like it on my chips, but I do think I agree with y'all. You got to ask. I saw someone not asking. It didn't bother me, like I said, because I want salt on my chip every time. I'd like to salt.
Well, since you brought up chips and salsa, Big Head Doug had asked me one time.
Back on the show.
Do you use? Yeah, Big Head Doug.
Big Head Doug again.
Shout out. Do you use two chips? Do you ever use two chips when you're dipping your salsa, or is it always one chip?
It depends on the chips.
Well, oftentimes I go two because I get a big old, I get a chunk of salsa. And so if you get one chip, it might break.
Yeah. So you're a two chipper?
It depends on the chips.
Yeah, and then sometimes it breaks and you got to go get a rescue
on
chip.
The border, they have those thick chips. You don't need the two, but
On the Border has the thick chips. Is that what you said? On the Border?
Yeah. So
and I like the chips too. Even at like Zapata's or another restaurant, they'll have some that kind of get together. That are there's two together.
The kind of
I love those. I'm all on those.
What about the ones that kind of get together and they didn't fully like get crunchy? They're still like you bite into it and it's still like tortilla. Is that good or bad? That kind of turns me off.
It's not good.
Okay, so you got your salsa. What about when there's like, so the waiter comes up and I felt like I asked our waiter, I said, can we get some salsa? He was like taking orders. He was doing his thing. He was working. There was no empty drinks. I never saw the bottom of my glass, but he was working real hard and getting all these orders. And I was thinking to my head, because I've served before. I thought, boy, I hope he remembers all this, because he was getting a bunch of specific things and he didn't look like he was writing it all down. But then, so I asked, I didn't even think about it till afterward, but he's doing all this stuff. And I go, hey, by the way, can you get some more chips and salsa over here? No rush. I said, no rush. That kind of seems like a passive way of being like, I need some damn chips and salsa on my table. And I kind of felt like an ass. Yeah, I kind of felt like an ass after I asked. I was like, I think I was trying to be nice, and I think I sounded like passively aggressive the way I was like, whenever you get an opportunity between all
I think that totally depends on if he remembers you asking that the first time. Because if he does remember, then you're kind of being a dick. But if he doesn't remember, then you're saying, hey, I just realized I want this thing, but like you got other things to do. So I think it's on what he remembers more.
Do I omit the whenever you get the chance or no rush and just say, hey, can we get some more? Because now if I just go, hey, can we get some more chips and salsa? Now I'm just haying him or her, whoever our server is,
I think it's safer, but
we know. So what about you have chips, you have salsa and queso. Someone orders a big old large queso. Do you need to ask before you dip a chip in there? Or if they kind of got a large queso and they didn't get it just for themselves and they sit at the table, does it need to be communicated to the table that anyone can have some, or can you just dive in?
I think I think it needs to be communicated. I think that if I were to get queso, then I would say everybody can have some, by the way.
Well, I think if I order queso and they set it down on the table and I put it right in front of me, then you better ask. If I set it in the middle of the table.
Or expect to draw back a nub.
Or draw back a nub. That's right. But if I set it in the middle of the table, it's fair game.
There are good nonverbal ways, little hand gesture as you set it down, possibly, or whatever. But yeah, I think there does need to be some formal acknowledgement.
The most appropriate thing would be the person that ordered the queso says, "Oh, please help yourself." That's how it should go.
So now you're asking the person to buy this queso for the table and then make sure to be cordial and offer it to us and make sure that's communicated.
I'm not asking them to buy it at all. I never ask anybody to buy queso. Right. That's their option. But if they're going to do it, make sure we know that you're sharing. Otherwise, I won't judge you for eating that entire thing. That's fine by me. But if you let me know,
well, you may, but you'll just do it silently, and you're
I wouldn't judge at all. I could totally. I live that life sometimes.
Okay, so then what do I do if person orders the queso and they put it in the middle of the table and they clearly they didn't just put it in front of them. It seems like they got it for the table, but they didn't communicate it. Is it kind of like being a little greedy to ask if I can start dipping some chips, or do I just wait it out? If they never say anything, no one ever touches that queso. Now it goes to waste. I mean, what's my play there?
I mean, just ask and go. Just as you're reaching, you're already
reaching into the chip.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hey,
what's the point of asking if you're already?
Because if queso's in the middle of the table, that means it's for everybody. If I set it right here in front of me, don't touch it.
So clearly, Dad's a ask for forgiveness, not permission kind of guy. He's just reaching in.
Well, I think it's a given. If you buy queso, it's bought for the table. Period. That's just a fact. That's just how it is. That's the way I feel.
Fair enough.
Do y'all ever go salsa and queso on a chip? So you got to get two chips for this bad boy.
I like them individual.
No, I will, because sometimes I'll get the queso And then I have my own little salsa bowl with a little salt on top, as I suggested earlier. And I dip the chip in there, and it's tasty. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'm not getting
What do you
salsa
do?
in the
No
queso.
judgment.
I'm getting queso in my salsa.
Absolutely. You're doing it the right way if you're going to do it.
I'm doing it the right way.
I like a single, it's all one flavor.
I just do it every now and then, Al. It's not like a big
You know
thing.
how I was with like if my peas touched my chicken nuggets or something. So,
You were bad
none of
about
that's
that.
changed.
Yes, you were bad about that.
If there's a large queso and now said person has communicated to the group that this queso is for the full table, anybody can have some if they would like. Do I now need to get a spoon and put some queso in a bowl, or can I just go chip by chip? I'm not going to double dip, but
Go chip by chip. Yeah.
I think chip by
it's
chip,
okay?
as long as you don't double dip, you're fine.
and if you're gonna do salsa, if you're gonna double and go salsa and queso, you better go queso first then salsa. Don't be the asshole that gets.
Absolutely. Dad's got the system for sure. That's the right way to do it.
I've been around. I've been around. I know some things. I drink and have salsa and no thanks.
You've had plenty of chips and salsa in your days, haven't you?
I've had a few chips and salsa. Anybody that saw me would know that.
What happens when someone orders the salsa? Now, this is my last question, and then I'll get off on my salsa and
Got a lot of chip questions.
Yeah, I've spent way too much
Chip
time
on your shoulder about this.
Well, I spend way too much time as it is, I guess, thinking about queso and salsa. I don't know if anyone else out there does this, but if say Lane orders queso, we're at a table and Lane orders a large queso, and I know I've been to eat with him a bunch, and he always does it, and he always is just like, oh, I want a queso, we can just put it on mine. He doesn't mind paying for it, doesn't mind offering it to the table. He's because he knows he wants some, and so he's gonna be the guy to go ahead and order it, but. Sometimes they'll bring out the check and no one makes it clear, because not every time do you go, I want queso and make sure it's on mine. But they bring out the check, right? And they've split it all up. Is it are you being too frugal?
Yes.
If I go, you split this? Because I'll leave the name out, but we have one friend that will make sure to go, even though they had a fair share of salsa and he's listening out, he knows exactly who he is, but they've had their fair share of the queso. But if it's split up, they'll go, this was supposed to be on Lane's bill. This is split up between all of us. This was a Lane thing. And Lane doesn't care. He's a good guy. He's just going to go, I thought I was paying for it anyway, so it's fine. Put it on mine. But so you're saying don't be that guy. Don't be the person that makes a point to not pay that $2 or whatever it is.
To put it into football terms today, LeGarrette Blount shoved a 49er on the ground for hitting Stafford out of bounds, and he got kicked out of the game. He was right, but he was penalized because he was a dick. You can be right and a dick at the same time, and I think that's what's happening. If you say, I take this off of my receipt, you have every right to do that, but it's a rude thing to do, I think.
Dad, are you changing?
Well, no, you're equating what LeGarrette Blount did to the guy that doesn't want the dollar of the salsa on his check. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm saying it's the right thing to do. LeGarrette Blount made the right decision. But he's going to get kicked out of the game for it.
LeGarrette Blount took up for his quarterback. He did the right thing, and he got kicked out of the game, and he took his medicine like a man. If they put a buck of the queso on your ticket and you say something about it, I don't know who did that, but that's BS. You shouldn't do that. Just pay the buck.
No, I think you have every right to do that, because also, sometimes I go out to eat and I'm on a tight budget, and my friends want to get drinks and stuff like that. And
I would say don't go out to eat then, right?
What if that $1 is going to overdraft me, Dad? I should overdraft. I should take that overdraft because I don't want to be the person. I'm just playing devil's advocate accordingly now.
I know how much it's going to cost, including the tip, and I know what my budget is.
Well, LJ doesn't have to worry about tip. Now all of a sudden,
I'm splitting.
He ain't going to tip anyway, right?
Yeah, LJ doesn't tip.
It's just the worst system in the world. I absolutely tip. I tip, I think, pretty well, but it's awful. No,
but I digress.
I planned it out very specifically, and then all of a sudden, my meal is $3 more than I thought it was going to be, and it's that's maybe 6 days worth of ramen for the rest of the week.
So let me put it this way. So I'm with all 12 of my buddies, and we go out to eat at this fancy steak place, and some guys order wine, and some guys are ordering drinks, and then at the end we just split the bill up.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of people that kind of, and I think about it because I think I didn't have but one glass of wine, and they brought 3 bottles.
I don't know if I'll say something, but I'll definitely think it.
I think about it, but you just pay. You just pay. That's what you do. It's not worth it.
I don't think you're wrong if you do say, let's actually divide this the way that it's supposed to be divided, because I only ate, $20 worth, not $40 worth. So get your drinks off my tab. I get that, but you have to be, it is it's not the cool thing to do. So you have to be ready to be the not cool guy at the table. But you know, you got to do you, and you should only really have to pay for what you use. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. I
But
understand your thoughts.
But if you can, it sounds like it's kind of a consensus though. If you can take that $2, go ahead and just take it. Just take it.
Well, and like Dad was saying earlier too, I mean, rarely would I ever go out to eat if I have to like worry about a couple of bucks, you know, like it's generally
maybe,
like I'm treating myself because I'm treating myself. But
maybe you should have stayed and had the ramen and shouldn't have came out to Zapata tonight. If you can't,
like, you know, I did a pizza delivery for a long time, and the people that wouldn't tip because they couldn't afford to, it's like, well, then you can't afford to order pizza. Like that's the way that it is, you know? So
this might be more of a dad question since, as we said, LJ doesn't tip, but, does your,
oh my God,
does your, like how quick and how good they are with your salsa, does that factor in pretty big at a Mexican restaurant with their tip for you, Dad? Or
I mean, yeah, they need to keep my salsa full, and you know, like I was at Zapata's the night before you were, and Pedro, that's his name. He's the waiter there. He's waited on me for years. He's a great guy.
He's the GOAT when it comes to waiter. He is good.
He is absolutely the GOAT.
Good goat or bad goat?
A good goat. And I mean, I'm taking my last drink of my frozen margarita, and he's bringing me another one. And he's just always taking care of me. And so I tip him well. And so I tip him better than someone that lets me run out of salsa or run out of drink. Pedro's going to get 30%. I'm telling you, I'm taking care of Pedro.
Pedro knows that he's going to, y'all have a good system worked out. Pedro knows you're going to tip him good, but he's also going to take care of your ass.
Maybe so, because he knows but it bred itself because he's taking care of me so good. I started tipping him really well. And now he knows, he's going to tip me very well. So he takes care of me. And actually he did it first. He gave first. And I gave second, but now it's a mutual thing. I walk in the door, he hands me my drink. He knows he getting a good tip from me, period.
Well, that's if you work in service, that's absolutely, you always put out your best because you don't know who's going to tip until they've tipped. But then now he knows, even if he's having a shitty day, it's like, well, I'm going to take care of Lifford. Yeah. It's worth it.
Yeah.
I like him, but also it's just worth it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything better? Speaking of like, so you know Pedro and Pedro knows you and you kind of walk in. I bet he kind of gives you like a little wave. He might even know your name. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. He'll come up and shake my hand and say, how you doing, man? You know,
is there anything better than like a bar or a restaurant where you walk in and the worker knows you though? Like walking into a bar and then like Kyle goes, hey, Kevin, you need to, like, he knows what you want. And, or if you go to Zapata's and they're like, oh, you getting the enchiladas again? You want a frozen margarita as well? You're like, damn it, Pedro, you're good. You're good.
I know.
There's just a good feeling. It just makes you, it makes you smile a little bit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. There was a time I could go to any bar here and they would hand me my Miller Lite. You know, it's just like, oh, there's Liv. Here's your Miller Lite. Yep. Here we go.
Well, I got a couple friends, though, that the fact that they could walk into any bar in Fort Smith is kind of a negative thing, too.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a positive. That was a fact for a while. It was just a thing. It was a thing. Not so much now.
All right. Well, so I think that's kind of, I'm dwindling down. I think that's kind of it. I thought about maybe trying to get a reaction. I don't know if y'all did. I didn't watch any of the Canelo Triple G fight. I'm just kind of, I don't watch a lot of boxing as it is. Did y'all have any thoughts y'all want to get to? The only thing I saw was the amazing thing when Ted Atlas and Stephen A. Smith got put on TV, and they need to be put on TV more often because that was, I couldn't understand a word. Hilarious. I don't know what the hell. I have a little clip for you. You can't understand what they were saying, but you need to go watch it. It's pretty fun. Here's a little bit of it.
Keep going to jab, like he was connected on that. He was petty. He was doing. That's what he was doing. He was supposed to go like this, but he wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing.
And what you can't see it. You probably can picture it just by hearing they're yelling. They're also both just jabbing into the air as they're doing this. They're just like towards the camera, just jabbing real fast. They look like it was crazy. That was probably more entertaining than the fight. I don't know. I didn't watch the fight, but I'll pay for some Ted Atlas and Stephen A. on TV.
You know, a real quick, would this be allusion to some written material we put on the website? I don't like boxing as much as I used to, because same. Something you put in, you know, I used to love boxing. And I used to love to see
good article by LJ. Check it out. But go ahead.
Thank you. But LJ kind of addressed something about this where, but not boxing specifically, but I used to love boxing and watching some guy get knocked out. And now knowing what that's doing to them, knowing how they're going to pay for that later in life, I don't watch boxing like I used to.
Yeah.
And it was a sport
to enjoy and knockout.
Loved. I just can't enjoy it like I used to. So go read that article. LJ, that was a very well thought out, good article.
Thank you.
On the site. So look for more written content on our website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's on. on our website at jpppod.com, our show notes for this pod and all of them. Sometimes it can be kind of interesting. Just go to our show notes, Dad. I think you'll find this, or you too. Just pick a random ass episode and just click on it and just see what's in some of the videos and some of the show notes. You might find a real good song or a funny clip or a highlight of, I don't know what we had. We had some highlights of, I think, Dante Hall on one of them. There's just some fun stuff.
Sam McGuffey.
You put Tom Brady juking
Ryan Urlacher and then giving the hard first down.
Oh, it was so funny. Yes, that was on like last week's or the week before. As a matter of fact, I was looking at it to put it on, and you'd already done it. So good job.
By the way, Tom Brady ran a little bootleg again today, and he doesn't look any more athletic. I don't.
Yeah, actually,
he's not getting faster over the years.
Speaking of Brady, LJ, you didn't react to this part, but did you catch that, Dad? If he's the owner of an NFL team, he doesn't care how good a quarterback is. He wants a good hang. He just wants someone to go to the bar with him after the game on Sunday nights. He's looking for their company, fair, not their football playing abilities.
I'm looking for both is what I'm looking for.
Oh, boy. I don't know if you'd be any better than Jerry Jones up there. So maybe.
He's hiring Ryan Mallett immediately because that dude can party.
Any
Arkansas.
No, I took Drew Brees, and Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame, walk in the door Hall of Famer, and he'd be very fun to have a beer with. That's what I said.
Dad's going to have like Johnny Manziel and Chad Johnson and Pac-Man Jones at corner and Tank Johnson at the D. Well, now it sounds like I'm just rattling off the Cowboys roster. Maybe that is what Jerry Jones does. Actually, I think you're onto something, Dad. He goes, that guy will be fun to hit the club with later tonight. I bet he'll be our new defensive end.
I mean, it started with Irvin, it started way back.
Hardy, har. That's so funny.
All right. Before we get out of here, do y'all have I don't know. I'm trying to think what I've been listening to. Y'all have what you've been listening to this week?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Let me hear it, El. I haven't heard from you in a little while what you're listening to, so I'm kind of excited.
So a new album's coming out, and I believe it's this coming weekend. So to get ready for it, you might want to listen to a group called Brockhampton.
Okay.
They've got a new album called Iridescence coming out, and if you just go to Brockhampton on Spotify and start playing the top 4 or so songs, they're all just hit after hit after hit. And there's a ton on there. Like there's so many good songs by them. They're a really great band.
All right, Dad, what you been listening to?
This is an easy one, a good one, probably on my Mount Rushmore of albums. Van Morrison Moondance. I don't think I've mentioned that before. I don't think
not on the show as far as I'm aware.
Good. But Van Morrison Moondance, I just got to listen to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you hadn't listened to that, sorry for you. It'll be up on the website. So
congratulations. You're about to listen to that.
You're right, LJ. Congratulations. You're fixing to hear some music that's going to blow your dress up. So enjoy.
I don't really have a specific. I've been still kind of listening to Swimming Pools by Mac Miller, but that was last week. I just like that album. But I will say a song. It's not something I've been listening to, but a song I really like, and it came up the other day. And I think you might have mentioned this before on one of yours, Dad. But I mentioned something about India Ari. We were talking. Someone said something about hair, and I was just like, I'm not like hair, that India Ari. I'm not my hair song. And you know what that got me?
What's that?
From one of our two of our listeners, Precious and Amber. They're both 2 black women, and they both told me. Well, Amber was kind of hesitant on it, but they invited me. They said I got an invite now to the black barbecue because I knew who some India Ari was, and I didn't realize that was on my bucket list, but that is on my bucket list to go to a black barbecue. I want to go so bad now.
Oh man. Okay. I got something to add on India Ari.
All right.
So one of the reasons that I'm married to the Irish redhead that I'm married to now is because of India Ari. I am not my hair. That is exactly the truth. I played that and she thought, oh my God, you are the dude. I can't believe you know that song. And she is an Irish redhead. Right. So it appeals to a wide variety of ethnicities.
I dig it.
All right. And I will say, I think I'm just going to go think about chips and salsa probably some more and then go into the black barbecue. And I think for me, that's probably it for this week. I'm going to probably turn on this Cowboys game. I don't care because I've given up hope on football. So I don't care if they win or lose, them or the Razorbacks. But
sure.
You guys got anything else before we sign out?
Go Broncos.
I think I'm good.
All right, El. Well, it's good to have you back on. Shout out to Tony for hopping on with us last week. We got to keep up with some of his picks. I got to make sure we got to keep up with that Baltimore and Washington bet. See who wins that out of. I mean, we don't get to win anything, but I just want to see if Dad or Tony's right.
One quick thing. Shout out to my buddy Delcom. Keith. Yeah. That you know what I'm talking about. So he said that he thought that 2-week bye was not so long ago either. He was with me on that.
It was a little while ago.
Maybe it's because we're older and have more perspective on time, but he said, I didn't think it was that long ago either, but it was. So
FYI, there was another thing that I didn't bring up, but Tony thinks that there's only 30 teams in the NFL. So that's another one of those 2-bye-week sort of problems. That was like 1990 or 2001 when the 32nd team was added or something like that. So.
Oh, I didn't know he said that.
Well, he said 28 other teams are upset or something like that. And so it's like implying there's only 30. So, and he even did the math reasons. He's like 29 or 28 other teams.
Well, now one time I said that, I can't remember who I was talking about it. I said 30 other teams would be envious of his arm because there's probably 2 quarterbacks that aren't. And who was that? Stafford, probably Stafford.
Maybe so.
Stafford has as good an arm as Aaron Rodgers, as anybody. But anyway,
speaking of listeners,
from 29 down to 28 with 2 other.
Well, we'll have to. That Tony's not that bright. You'll just have to understand that.
Speaking of listeners, I can't let you go. I got asked a question to make sure I ask you on this week's episode, and it's for what we're listening to. But a while back ago, you told everyone that you went to a DMV or somewhere and they had some bomb ass music.
Yeah,
and you were going to try to figure out what it was. Is there any update on that?
No update yet.
Cody asked me if there was an update on it.
I'm still actively searching. I've got a terrible recording on my phone that I'm talking over so I can show it to somebody and say, this song, this is the one I want. But no audio search has gotten me the backward search for it. And nobody's responded to my emails at the DMV as if they have other things to do than to talk to music nerds. So
all right. Well,
nothing yet, but I'm still actively searching.
Well, Cody, if you're listening, we don't have the answers, but he's still looking for them. So we're gonna get to the bottom of this. I think that's it for us. Go hit up MyBookie and put in the JPP 25 and get an extra $25 too.
Bring it.
All right. Peace out.
All right. Peace. Peace.
You know, you actually don't even have to go to MyBookie.ag anymore. You can go to MyBookie.com and that works.
That works as well.
Yeah, so we don't have to make that ag joke ever again.
The other day, I don't know why, I was just sitting there thinking, and I thought, I bet they did fix that or have like both routed because they would make a point. There's just no way that they wouldn't make a point in the ad read to make sure to say AG if that was the only way to get to it.
Right. Yeah, I just typed in MyBookie.com and it just took me straight to it like before this episode.
All right. Well, I know you got some shit you need to get to, don't you?